How many lifetimes did the Buddha reincarnate before attaining enlightenment? Welcome back, everyone, to Mind Podcast. Like all sentient beings, the Buddha went through countless lifetimes in the cycle of reincarnation, only breaking free upon attaining enlightenment. According to Buddhist teachings, all beings are submerged in the endless ocean of samsara, without a beginning or end, driven by the karma they have created. No one knows where they came from, who they were in past lives, or where they will go and be reborn in future life. Only those who have achieved the state of an arahant, an enlightened one, can escape the cycle of birth and death and gain insight into their past lives as well as those of others. But what about Shakyamuni Buddha? The scriptures recount that once, while residing in Savatthi, many monks sat by his side and asked, "Venerable Sir, how many lifetimes have you gone through?" The Buddha did not provide a specific number, but instead stated that the lifetimes one experiences are countless and beyond enumeration. There are many lifetimes, monks that have passed and been surpassed. It is not easy to count them all, whether a few lifetimes, 100 lifetimes, 1,000 lifetimes, or hundreds of thousands of lifetimes, said the Buddha. The monks then asked, "Venerable Sir, can you give us an example?" Buddha replied, "Imagine here 4 disciples, each living for 100 years, remembering hundreds of thousands of lifetimes every day. Such is the number of lifetimes that have passed and been surpassed, not easy to count. Whether a few lifetimes, 100 lifetimes, 1,000 lifetimes, or hundreds of thousands of lifetimes." The Buddha reiterated to emphasize, the number of lifetimes that one has gone through is so vast that it should be enough to make you weary, enough to make you renounce, enough to make you seek liberation from all conditioned things. Reincarnation is like a wheel that never stops turning. At the end of one life, beings are reborn into another, driven by their karma, into one of the 6 realms, the heavenly realm, human realm, the realm of the asuras, animal realm of hungry ghosts, and the hell realm. According to Buddhism, as long as one clings to desire, one will continue to be engulfed in the cycle of samsara and cannot attain liberation. Except for the holy monks who have achieved enlightenment, most people cannot completely eradicate desire. They can only reduce greed, anger, and ignorance to lead better lives and achieve peace of mind. While this may not free them from samsara, it will lead to rebirth in a better realm, receiving the fruits of good karma in life, and their presence will also contribute to creating good karma for those around them. Regarding the Buddha's past lives, many of his teachings reveal that he was once a tree and even took on animal form. However, regardless of the form, he always lived with compassion and selflessness. In his human lifetimes, he bore the heart of a bodhisattva, making great vows to find a path to relieve suffering and guide others. Bodhisattvas in their final lifetimes before attaining Buddhahood are born into the human realm. The final life of the Buddha was as Prince Siddhartha of the Shakya kingdom. The Buddha once declared, "I am a Buddha who has already attained enlightenment. Sentient beings are Buddhas who will attain enlightenment." His words were not empty, but affirmed the truth that in countless past lifetimes, he too was once a sentient being, undergoing countless lifetimes of cultivation until his final life when he attained Buddhahood. Below are some of the Buddha's past lifetimes. The youth Shakyamuni and the prophecy from Dipankara Buddha. During the time of Dipankara Buddha, there was a prince named Vishvabhana, son of King Shuddhodana, who was a former incarnation of Shakyamuni Buddha. Prince renounced the world and became a monk, taking the monastic name Shakyamuni. However, at that time, Shakyamuni had not yet fully committed to the monastic life. One day, Shakyamuni heard that Dipankara Buddha was traveling and teaching, so he decided to offer gold to Buddha. On the way, the young man encountered a village girl carrying 7 lotus flowers, also on her way to offer them to Dipankara Buddha. Shakyamuni asked to buy the flowers to offer them himself. The village girl, moved by Shakyamuni's sincerity, did not sell but shared the flowers with him, and together they went to offer the flowers to Dipankara Buddha. The girl made a vow that they would become husband and wife in future lifetimes, and that she would support his quest for liberation until his final life. The young man Shakyamuni later became Prince Siddhartha, and the village girl became Princess Yasodhara. When Shakyamuni attended a Dharma assembly and saw the figure of Dipankara Buddha, he was deeply moved and made a great vow. I vow to follow you, cultivate diligently, and attain the wisdom of perfect enlightenment like you. After making this sincere vow, Shakyamuni threw 5 of his lotus flowers and 2 of the girl's flowers into the sky as an offering to the Buddha. Miraculously, the 5 lotus flowers formed a large lotus seat, and the 2 flowers of the girl merged into a beautiful lotus, flew to Dipankara Buddha. The Buddha said that the connection of these 2 lotus flowers symbolized the great vows of these 2 individuals. In another instance, Shakyamuni heard that Dipankara Buddha was traveling on a certain road. Despite a lack of time, he tried to clear the path, but couldn't completely finish it, leaving a small section muddy. He decided to cover it with his own robe, lying down to make the way smooth for the Buddha. The story goes that Shakyamuni was once reborn as the Bodhisattva Vishvabhana, a celestial being in the Tushita heaven. After many lifetimes of practice, he was reborn as Prince Vishvabhana, who later became a monk, attained perfect practice, and then was reborn in the Tushita heaven as the Bodhisattva Vishvabhana. When the Bodhisattva was about to end his life in the human realm and be reborn in the Tushita heaven, a celestial being announced this joyful news to all the heaven. In the Lalita Vistara Sutra, the Buddha taught that due to the powerful merits and virtues of the Bodhisattva Vishvabhana, when he was reborn in the Tushita heaven, the heavens displayed infinite beauty, with radiant palaces appearing. Although the celestial world is filled with pleasures, the Bodhisattva's mind was not tempted by them, remaining pure and unwavering in his vow to guide sentient beings. As the Bodhisattva's lifespan in the Tushita heaven was nearing its end, celestial beings were saddened and cried, as during his stay, he had taught and guided them, bringing immense joy. One day on Vulture Peak in the city of Rajagriha, Buddha told his disciples the story of the Phoenix King. He narrated the story slowly. In a distant past, there was a Phoenix King who lived happily with 500 beautiful wives. He thought that his life of luxury and comfort would last forever. But one day, while flying over a vast forest, he saw a magnificent blue-feathered phoenix, graceful and gentle, a melodious voice. The Phoenix King's heart was immediately captivated by this beautiful bird, and he abandoned his 500 loyal wives to pursue the new love. Unlike the 500 loyal wives who were content with their lives, the new Phoenix was demanding and difficult to please. Phoenix King had to go out of his way daily to find the sweetest fruits to satisfy her. During this time, Queen of the Kingdom of Rajagriha fell ill with a strange disease. Despite summoning all the best physicians, Queen's condition did not improve. One night, Queen had a dream in which she was told that only the flesh of the Phoenix King could cure her illness. Upon waking, she told the king about her dream. King immediately issued a decree, promising a great reward to anyone who could capture the Phoenix King. Phoenix King, being a mystical creature, was not easily found. But because he was so engrossed in his new love, he became less vigilant, making it easier for a skilled hunter to find him. The hunter devised a clever plan, smearing honey on himself and attaching sweet fruits all over his body, then sitting motionless on a tree branch to lure the Phoenix King. One early morning, as the Phoenix King was out searching for fruits, he smelled a sweet fragrance in the air. Following the scent, he saw the hunter disguised as a tree laden with fruits. Phoenix King, eager to bring the sweet fruits to his new love, landed on the hunter's shoulder and was immediately caught. Despite his struggles, he couldn't escape and pleaded for his life, offering the hunter a mountain of gold in exchange. However, the hunter, eager to win the king's reward and marry the princess, refused and brought the Phoenix King to the palace. When the Phoenix King was presented to the king, he pleaded, "If it is to save the queen's life, I am willing to sacrifice myself without regret. But I possess a magical power that can cure the queen without the need for my death. If you trust me, bring me a basin of water, and I will recite a spell over it. Queen only needs to drink and bathe in this water, and her illness will vanish. If I fail, I am willing to forfeit my life." King agreed and provided the water, and as promised, Queen was cured after drinking and bathing in it. The king, pleased with the Phoenix King's miraculous power, wanted to keep him in the palace. Remembering his promise, the king allowed the Phoenix King to return to the forest. Before leaving, the Phoenix King offered to bless a lotus pond in the kingdom so that anyone who drank its water would be cured of any illness. As the Phoenix King flew back to the forest, called out to the king from atop the palace, "In this world, there are 3 fools. The first is me, the second is the hunter, and the third is you, your majesty." Seeing the confused expressions on the faces of the king and his court, the Phoenix King explained, "It is said that beauty is not a sword, but it can still kill. I was the king of all birds, free to roam the sky and enjoy the mountains and rivers, but because I was infatuated with beauty, I abandoned my 500 loyal wives, cared for me day and night, only to end up in the hands of a hunter. I offered him a mountain of gold to spare my life, but he refused, hoping to marry the princess, which is just as fleeting as a morning dew. And you, your majesty, were ready to sacrifice the life of a Phoenix King to save your wife, not realizing the grave karma that would result. If I hadn't possessed the magical power to cure her, I would have lost my life, and you would have incurred endless karma. Isn't that foolish?" With these words, the Phoenix King soared into the sky. The Buddha then told his disciples that the hunter in the story was the former life of Devadatta, his cousin in this life. Queen, who demanded to eat the Phoenix King, was the former life of Devadatta's wife. The king was the former life of Sariputta, who in this life became one of the Buddha's foremost disciples. And the Phoenix King was the former life Buddha himself. The Buddha concluded, "See, because of attachment to desire, I had to endure the life of a phoenix. If not for my determination to practice the Bodhi path, cultivate the Dharma, and vow to save all beings, there would be no Tathagata today. Therefore, one will remain trapped in the cycle of samsara as long as they cling to the 6 realms of existence. Only the Buddha Dharma is the true path for a being to attain liberation and transcendence."